hello, hello. I realize that I am all that stands between you and your bed. So, I get it. My bedtime passed a few minutes ago too, but let me just tell you, right? Your dynamic radiance is attractive to those who desire the truth. I said your dynamic radiance is attractive to those who desire the truth. It was 1999, 20 years ago, and I could not have known it at that time, but those words would gently push me onto my personal path of enlightenment. I just showed up for my first day of work at Promotus Advertising Agency, and a good friend, Dominique Bryant, welcomed me into the office that day. She took me around, introduced me to everyone, and then showed me to my desk. As I got settled in, I noticed the screensaver on the computer in front of me. Rolling across the middle of the screen were these big, beautifully scripted words. Your dynamic radiance is attractive to those who desire the truth. I sat for several minutes just watching it go by. I was mesmerized by those words. At that time, I was struggling with some physical attraction and attracting the wrong people, the wrong circumstances, the wrong place, the wrong time. And so knowing that my dynamic radiance was attractive to those who desire the truth, it moved me deeply. About a week after that, I asked Dominique, do you attend church? And she said, no, I do not attend church, but I do attend fellowship, and you're welcome to join me at any time. I had no clue what fellowship was, so I asked a natural question, what's the dress code? Because, as you heard a little earlier, Sunday best was not what I was prepared for at that time. My wardrobe, among other things, was inadequate. She replied, clean, and clean is a standard that I could absolutely meet. So I began attending fellowship with her week after week, and I sat in a living room and heard the Bible explained to me with such power and confidence like I had never heard before. Things about how the law of believing and how all things are possible to us who believe. How God's desires that we prosper and be in health even as our souls prosper. Hey, raining down. Right? How Jesus came that we might have life and have it more abundantly, and yet nothing at my life in that time was abundant. My finances were woefully inadequate. I was parenting a 1-year-old son at that time from a position of fear. My own standard of myself as a mother, after watching my mother, I didn't measure up. And I was careening my way down a path toward what would be my second divorce at that time. No, abundance, prosperous, free, those were not words that I would use to characterize my life at that time. And so I crawled on the path. My journey toward enlightenment has bloody knees and scarred hands, lots of tears. About 6 years later, I would meet another spiritual helper on the path through Samuel L. Jackson. And no, I did not meet Samuel L. Jackson. But I did watch his movie, Coach Carter. And in the movie Coach Carter, Samuel L. plays a high school basketball coach, and he's helping young men on and off the court. He keeps asking this one question over and over again, what is your deepest fear? And this is a high school kid. He's like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Deepest fear. Until a pivotal moment toward the end of the movie where the young man stands and says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And again, I was really moved deeply. That was profound. He went on. It was eloquent. And I had to know where these words had come from. So I went to the guru of all enlightenment, Google. You want to know anything, you just do a Google search. I typed in our deepest fear, and quickly the name Marianne Williamson popped up. Hey, we have some fans in the house. I learned she not only wrote the timeless classic, A Return to Love, where that quote came from, but she was a practitioner and a teacher of A Course in Miracles, a book that had sat gathering dust on my bookshelf for years. I bought it from Half Price Books because I loved the title, but I had never opened it. I went quickly. I grabbed that thing and I dusted it off, opened it up, and started to read. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. I read about how our egos make us feel disconnected from God and from one another. I read about how miracles occur naturally in the presence of love, and they are our inheritance. It was really metaphysical for me, though, at that time. I wasn't quite grasping what it had to say. It was just deeper than what my intellect was ready to comprehend. And so I put it back on the shelf where I got it from. Just put it down, and I continued that slow crawl on that path. I mean, it was a painstaking crawl. The crawl had a lot of crying and a lot of cussing. That's how my path of enlightenment went. Don't get me wrong, there were moments of joy, accomplishment, laughter, but always waiting for me was that nagging sense of insufficiency, lack. You're not enough. Who do you think you are? You're inadequate. As a human, as a person, as a mother, as a daughter, as a wife, you are not enough. It will be several more years, 12 more to be exact, 2017. I said, okay, God, I get it. I see that my external world is just a reflection of my internal world. What I'm experiencing outside of me is a direct mirror of what's happening inside of me. And so if I want a different experience in this life, I have to be different, know different, do different. And so I want something different. I want new neural pathways associated in my brain, new connections. I scrolled through Facebook one day, and I saw a flyer for Walk the Talk. And it said, creating an epic shift. And an epic shift was what I had just dialed into the universe. Yeah. Epic shift. That is what I needed at the time. So I showed up for my first Walk the Talk. The topic was positive thinking. I was open. I was open to the experience, the crowd. I sat out there, and I was ready to receive. I met yet another spiritual helper by the name of Neil Failora. Neil took that stage that night, and he changed the energy in the room. He captivated us, and he asked us to do an exercise, which I'm going to repeat with you here tonight, if you would be so kind. He asked us to stand, so please stand with me. He asked us to close our eyes. Repeat after me. I am amazing.
I am amazing.
I am whole.
I am whole.
I am limitless.
I am limitless.
Now you may open your eyes and take a seat, or take a seat and then open your eyes. However your faith is set up. Amazing, whole, limitless. I internalized that and kept repeating it to myself that night, that week, the whole next month. I wrote it on my mirror. I journaled about it. I reached out to Neil. I said, you have really created that epic shift for me. Thank you. I had been having an intellectual experience, not a spiritual experience. I had been trying to understand believing, but not being a believer. I've been pondering abundance and prosperity, but not knowing that I am abundant and prosperous. Just as I stand, if I don't get one more degree, open one more business, write one more chapter of one more book, I am enough. So tonight, I want to challenge you. I encourage you. I beg and plead and implore of you. Don't leave this room without knowing a few things. Sorry to shower you. But you got to know this. It's that important. Know that you are filled with a power. It resides deep within you as potential, waiting to be activated. Know that you are fully and thoroughly equipped for the work that God has called you here to do. You lack nothing. You are sufficient. You are adequate. You are ready for the position that you've been called to. Know also that you and I, we are one. We work as one body. I may be the foot, you may be the ear, you may be the arm. But together, our job is to reconcile other people back to love, back to the sufficiency, back to the fullness that is their inheritance. Know that as you crawl on your path of enlightenment, there are those of us on that path who see you. We will help you. We know you because we know ourselves. And we can connect with you and just help that journey just a little bit. You may know them. It may be family, my mother, father, best friend. It may be people here, Neil. You may not even know a name. It may be a bus driver, a barista at Starbucks. But you will connect with people if you're open to that connection. Know for sure that you are amazing. You are whole. You are limitless. And know that your dynamic radiance is attractive to those who desire the truth.